Hi, good day. My name is Jerry Abraham, and now we are going to look at another project. This is to do with the RPA challenge website. Okay, but we are going to look at invoice extraction. So the goal over here is to actually take the invoices from here. Okay, pull out certain information that has been asked for, update in this Excel file. Okay, so we need to obviously download this and then upload this back. So once that is done, we accomplished the goal. Okay, but just to get into the details. Okay, so what is the information? So let's look at this. Okay, so here is the Excel file format. This is what it looks like. So this is the information that we have to publish. Okay, here are two sample invoices. This is what it looks like. This is the first one. And so here basically there are two different samples. Okay, and this is the information that we need: invoice number, invoice date, company name, and total due. So we have to pull this. Okay, so you got the invoice date, invoice number, company name, and total due at the bottom. Same thing over here. The invoice number, the date, company name is here, and the total due amount. So formats are slightly different. Okay, but again, the catch is only if the due date, so it's written over here, only if the due date is past or is today. Okay, so you have to look at this due date, and the other two bit of information that you also need is so if you read this, it will tell you you have to also update the ID, the ID and the due date in the CSV file. Okay, so only if this due date. So today is 7 July. So this is past due date. So we're gonna take this. This is past due date. We're gonna take this. So is this. So is this. Okay, so there are 4 records over here. If we move to the next tab, this is not passed. Okay, so that's the check that you have to do. This is again way beyond. So this is in August. This is again beyond. This is passed. So we've got to take this. So, right. So this is essentially what we have to do. So take these invoices. If it's past due date or is past this thing, okay, check with today's date. Uh, take the ID, due date, and these set of values from the two invoice formats that are available. Update in the Excel file, and then upload the same thing on this side. Okay, so when you hit start, the challenge actually starts, and then your program has to kind of go through all of this based on the set of conditions. So now to take you through the flow, so we're starting with open browser again, right? So go on the site. So the link is there on the site, same thing, and then you hit the start button, right? So that's when the challenge actually starts, and then go through this flow. Okay, after that, okay, so we are going to update the data in the CSV file, right? So our CSV file is called example.csv. So as we keep pulling this data, we are actually going to populate that or publish that in a data table. So we are doing something called as a build data table. So you will get all of these over here, right? You just type build data table, so you will get that. So take that, put that over here, okay? And then you have to, you just keep hitting plus and you start writing this columns. Okay, so we are saying ID, data type is string, and all of that. So also the remaining 6, right, remaining 5 rather: due date, invoice number, invoice date, this is company name, and total due. Okay, so we have created the data table. So all that information is going to get published over here, and then from here we'll post it into the CSV and then upload that. Okay, after this we are going into this. I will come to the if conditions, okay, a little later. I'll surely take you through that, but just look at the flow. After this, like I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, okay, because this is a site, we are going to use attached browser, making a reference to the same site. Okay, so same thing, find element and all of that. Okay, and just make sure you install the Chrome extension for UiPath. Okay, so I'm selecting Chrome. I'll come to this. Okay, so here we are using something called as get text. Just type the same thing, get text, you will get your, okay. So in classic elements control, this is what we are using. Okay. So we are, let me just try, actually let me do that. So there is something that you need to understand over here. So I think I really need to show you this bit. Okay. So when we get to get text, okay, so I'm gonna hit find the element. Okay, this part is a bit not really complicated. You need to just understand this. Okay, so I have selected that. So where we are, actually let me take from page 1. Let me just do that again so you understand this better. Okay, indicate element on screen. So I'm taking this. Okay, so click on edit selector. Okay, and then there is something important and interesting that you have to see. I'm clicking on open UI Explorer. So what you have to notice is this. Okay, it says table column is 3. Okay, so we're talking about the due date. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So that's fine. We don't have a problem there. Then it says table row is 2. So that's row number 1. That's row number 2. So that is, but that is the issue. Okay, so we'll come to that. And here there is another one called row number. So this is what we actually require. So I have clicked that. Okay, I've checked this, and I'm going to untick this, and I'll show you. Okay, let me not untick it now. Okay, so I have ticked that. So that is row number 1. This is row 2. Okay, I'm just saying save. Okay, let me just do okay. Now if I go to, let's say, the next page. Okay, so this is number 5. We will click on this one. Okay, indicate on screen. Now again, if I look at open in UI Explorer, you can do it this way as well. So because you are incrementally moving through some of these rows. So if you look at this column, table column is 3, which is again fine. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that is fine. Table row is 2. So that is really not incrementing. Okay, table row is not incrementing. It's just showing this. So what we have to actually do is, so if you look at this is moving incrementally, row name. So we have to take that and untick this, uncheck this rather. Okay, save. So that is what we're actually going to use. Okay, now what we are also going to do over here is I have created a variable, so we want to increment that. So we are going to pass that to assign and keep on incrementing that. We've declared a variable over here, row number. Okay, and assigned a value, a default value of 1. So as it goes through the loop, we'll keep incrementing that. Now, how do I change this value? Okay, so if you come over here, that is the selector. Click on this. If you do it any other way, you can directly type it over there, or come to this, open in expression editor. Okay, over here. So there is single quotes, and that the number 5 is there. Instead of single, in this, we're going to pass the variable. Okay, so this is how you do it. Double quotes, okay, 2 double quotes, and then say plus plus, and then say row. Okay, so we've got that row number. That's our variable dot to. Okay, so dot to string. That's it. So what you have to do? That's all that you have to do, and it will keep incrementing. So as it moves through the loop, it will keep incrementing. So we are passing that, right? For the first time, we are saying is equal to 1, and we are incrementing that, right? So this is already over here. So I'll just delete this. Just wanted to show you guys how this worked. Okay. So your due date is here. This is the same thing, text, the ID, right? So we are passing that to a variable called ID, and this we are passing to a variable called due date. Okay, because we require the ID. So we're taking this. Let me go to page 1. We're taking this and this, right? and we are passing this to a variable. Now I am creating another variable saying due underscore date. Okay, so we are converting that to a date format. So we are saying date time dot parse exact. Okay, the variable that we're using, this is the format, and then say comma sys dot globalization dot culture info. As you keep hitting dot, this will just keep coming. Okay, so this is the only thing that you have to kind of remember, and you just Google and search, you'll get all of these spreadsheets. Right, so globalization dot culture info dot invariant culture. Okay, so that's that. So you've got the ID, you've got the due date, you've looked at how to increment that, so that we are actually coding that, passing the variable and incrementing. I've also said just make sure you do it through the expression editor, right? Use this while you're doing, because if you do it any other way, you're likely to get errors. I've had issues, or you can directly type in over there, even that is fine. But if you try other ways of doing it, which you can, you will go into errors. You get something called as double quote, and there are text that gets added, so that becomes an issue. Okay, and then we have to compare with today's date. So I'm saying current date is datetime dot now. Okay, so that's another variable that has been declared. So all of this is date time. Due underscore date is also date time. Okay, so this bit is done in our flow chart. Okay, so this is what we looked at just now. Let me just click so you kind of see. Okay, attached browser, we are on that page. Okay, so here's another thing that okay, so this is pretty much fine. Okay, from here it flows into a flow decision. So according to the condition, which is due date is less than current date, less than or equal to current date, only those we have to process. So if it is false, we have to go to the next one. And what are we using? Row number. So I'm using assign and incrementing that. So it goes through the loop and increments, right? False. Again, it will go back to this and start again. But if it is true, then we go to this. Okay, so we are clicking on the invoice download. Okay, so which is this. Here again, just make sure. So for the ID and for the ID and the due date and this, just make sure you hard code that. Okay, in this. Okay, you have to ensure, because you're passing this variable and you're going to increment. So that is one thing that you have to make sure you do. So once we go into that, so now we've downloaded and that file is opened up. So again, we're saying attached browser. Okay, so one of these formats is going to open. So here we're saying, okay, this is open. I'll just close these, right? So this is open. So it's saying check element, check if this is there. Okay, we're checking, doing a Boolean check. We're passing this over here. So if you look at this, it's element exists is Boolean. So if you look at the data type, this is Boolean. So basically a true or false. This again, we're going to pass into, okay, a flow decision. So it's going to check over here for this Boolean that we created. Okay, because I've written over here, there are two invoice formats in this challenge. Okay, so if it meets, if it's this, there is a certain format, so we'll go through one flow. If it's the other one, we'll go through a slightly different flow. That's the reason behind doing that. Okay, so we're saying true condition. Again, attached browser. Okay, here, let me just go to edit selector. Okay, so if you look at this here, I've changed the title, I've changed the initial part. So if you look at this, so when you select this, you will get sample2.jpg. Okay, whichever invoice you select, whatever that is. So we're just removing this and we're putting star. That's all that we're doing. That's the only thing. Okay, so we're essentially making it dynamic. When you're saying star, it doesn't really matter what is there before that, .jpg. Okay, so once this is attached browser is done, then we are saying click. Why are we saying click? It's quite small. So when we are saying click, look at this. What happens? It enlarges. Okay. So that is why we are putting click. Okay. Then we are sending hotkey and saying page up. Okay, just make sure you tick these. This does background automation, send special key, send Windows message. These are all for background automation. So make sure it is checked. So you're saying page up. Why? Because it is over here. When you're saying page up, it'll move up like this. You want all this information, right? We need the date, we need the invoice number, we need the name of the company, right? So we're doing that. So then we are saying get OCR, okay, and we're getting the date. It's really not much, just this star over here. That's what you have to look at. And then we are using a Tesseract OCR. So get OCR. If you search over here, you'll get the same thing. So that is that. And then just check for, okay, so Tesseract is what I'm using. There are other options also. Some of those are paid, some are free. You will actually get. So this is what I've typically used. And here you will have to play with some of this. Okay, so invert is typically used if the background is dark and the text is light. So you want to remove the background. So, but if the background is light and the text is dark, you don't really have to use this. Okay, and then language. I've not said anything over here. English profile is none. Scale is nothing. In some of these, you'll have to play with some of these and actually check what works, right? So do a debug. Uh, Put a message box, check what the value is, right? Now this has been saved in some variable called invoice date, right? And that we are passing over here. It's a string, so we are converting that into a date using convert.toDateTime, that particular variable, and we're passing it to the same variable, toString. This is the format, same variable we're passing. Certain comments that I put for check, it's not required. It's just from a debugging point of view, message box, I guess. Yes, that's what I had done to see if it's working. Right, so we have taken the date. Okay, now we are taking a similar thing. Okay, now we are taking the invoice number. Okay, Tesseract. Okay, so just this invert language profile scale, these are typically, and also allow characters. So allow characters. So for example, we will come to that. Okay, I'll come to that and I will take you through that. I'm sure. I guess it must be in this example. I'll take you through that. Okay. So we are passing this again to another variable. Okay, we don't need the hash, so all that we're using is replace. So that is the variable dot replace. Remove this hash with string dot empty, and we're just doing a trim. That's it. So we're passing this over here. It's not required. That's more from a debugging point of view. Here again, we're passing this company name, this particular thing, again using the Tesseract OCR. The same thing, right? Get OCR. Now we are sending a hotkey saying paste down. Why? So this is what it looks like, and the invoice, the total due is at the bottom. So when we do paste down, it'll move like this, and it has to pick this information. Again, I get OCR, right? So we have get OCR. Okay. So again, you select. When you do this, it'll say find element. Same thing. Indicate on screen. Sorry, and it'll select this, and then Tesseract here. So this is where it is. So I had some trouble getting that number. There are 12 invoices. For some I got, some I couldn't. So I had to play with this. Okay, so here allow, we are saying, and some of it has decimals. So in double quotes, I'm saying 0 to 9 and also dot, right? So the decimal is there. So this I'm deny I didn't use. Invert I'm not using. Otherwise I would have ticked because, like I mentioned, the background is light. It's not going to bother because the text is dark. Okay. Language I used is English. In this I chose as, I didn't choose anything, it's just none. Scale I chose as 4. That just makes the image bigger, so it becomes readable. So anywhere between scale 2 to 4, just play with that and see. You will have to play with some of these numbers and actually see. Even so this is none. So basically, when you say none is you're not doing any filter. So for example, there are other options. So when you say screen or scan or all of that, so it'll apply certain filters and then it'll pass on to the Tesseract OCR. So we're not doing that. Tesseract is good enough. So I did a little bit of reading and had to research that a bit, and so this worked out well. Okay, this is just for my debugging mode. Just ignore, you can do that. So we've got all this bit of information. What have we got so far? So we've got okay, so remember, so the image to make the page bigger, and you did a page up. We've got the invoice number. Okay, just the replace. We've got the invoice date, the company name, number. So the due date and all, which we had picked up earlier, and also the ID, if you remember, if you recall. And here was the date. Okay, we had to just convert that. So the date, number, company name, all of this has been picked up. And we are saying add data row. So this is getting added to the data table that we built earlier. So all, same bit. Okay, so ID, due date. So we're adding. So we're doing row by row. Okay, I'm using row number. So that is the increment. Okay, that happens. So we're capturing all of this and putting it to the same data table. Okay, so that ends this loop. Okay, so it has gone to the through the true condition in this flow decision, and then at the end of it we are saying assign, which is where we're incrementing the row. Okay, so if what we're saying over here is, what if this date is not, if the due date is less than equal to, I mean, if it's a false condition, if it's true condition goes over here. If it's false condition, we're just saying +1, right? So we're incrementing, so it goes through the loop again. And if it's not the first format, if it's a second format, okay, again similar thing. So what are we saying? If it's the other format, so that's the false condition. Okay, so this is the boolean that we used over here. We're saying, hey, you know what, amet.cop, that's a different sequence. So again, do attach browser. Here again, if you look at this, I'll put a star. Okay, so because that text is going to change, this is going to change, sample 1, maybe sample 2 and all of that. Again, click Y so that it becomes enlarged. So we're using that, and we're doing page up, same thing. Okay, this particular invoice is much cleaner. Okay, converting date, we looked at this. Okay, convert dot to date time, pretty much similar. Tesseract, we didn't have too many problems over here. Number, you will have to use a replace now. Okay, so we're passing that to a variable, invoice date number, and okay, so dot replace hash, remove this and do it with empty and trim. Right, so we've got this. Now take the company name, again Tesseract, no issues over here. In fact, this invoice is more clean. And then we're doing page down. Why? We have to take the due date from down. So page down means it will go this way. Okay, so that happens. Okay, we're passing that to due date, sorry, total due. Nothing much, there weren't too many issues here, but there is some replace and all that we have to do. So if you notice, you see a dollar and comma, so we don't need all of this, so we'll have to take that off. So again, we're doing a replace. The first replace is for removing the dollar, and on top of that, we're again putting a replace and saying remove the comma. Okay, double quotes, comma, empty string. Just go through this video, you'll understand. It's not much. Once you got all that information, close the tab. Even in the earlier, I think my bad, I probably missed that. So we're saying close tab means it'll close this, okay? Because you're going to open the next invoice. Every time an invoice opens, once you're done with the whole thing, close the tab and then add it with the data row. So that is that's all to this, right? So again, you increment and it goes through the loop. So let's try and run this. Going to the main sequence. I'll close this. My Excel file is there. That's empty. Okay, so it's going to populate all of this and then it's going to upload. Right, so I'll run the code and hopefully everything works fine. So it's compiling. So you can look at the output, all the initialization that's happening over here, loading dependencies and all of that. Okay, so it's going to open the browser. Yeah, so it's there on the site. So it's hit start, that's where it starts. It's gone to the first one. Okay, it's pulling out all the information. What are we looking at? We're looking at the invoice date, invoice number, company name. See, now it's gone down, it's taking the due date. Right, so all of that has gone into a data table. Let's go to the next one. Okay, I need to take you through the if condition. I'll do that after this. Okay, let me just, I think I missed that one. I'll just take you through the if conditions that are. So there are about 12 invoices and also the uploading in the CSV. So there are 3 more things that I need to take you through. So I'll do that once this code is done. Some of it, okay, so once you hit submit, great, it's done. Right, so, okay, so here are the 3 things that I want to take you through. So we are doing that in a while condition. Okay, so there are 12. So we're saying row number. Okay, so that is what we use to increment. So we are, when it goes through this, it is initially being put as row number is equal to 1. If you remember, recall, is equal to 1. So that's what I had done. Okay, so if it is less than equal to 12, then go into this. Okay, so now we are saying if it is less than 5. Okay, let me refresh this or reset this. So we are saying only if it is less than 5. So here we have 1 to 4. Okay, so this is 1 to 4. Only if it is less than 5, then please go through my code, through all of this. Okay. So once the row number becomes 5, then it will not go into this, right? It will go through this. So less than 5, obviously not. So it will go into the else condition. Is it less than 9? So if it is less, then click on 2. So that is the click event we are using. So it will say, okay, so it's not this. So it will use this and it will go through this. Once it comes to 9, again it will go through this loop. Okay, it'll say less than equal to 12. Yes. Is this less than 5? Obviously no. So it comes to the else, right? Else over here. Over here it says less than 9. It's not. Then it'll go to the else again and click on 3. And then it'll look at all of this. Okay, so this is one part. Once it is all updated into the database, data table, my bad. So everything goes into the data table. In both the loops, both of these flows, it's the same, right? Right. So we have this add data row, right? So that is done. So that is this. So we are done with this. Add it to the data row. After adding to the data row, it goes into. Okay. So we are saying that is the name of the data table. After everything is over, all the tail entries are over based on that condition of due date. We are saying, you know what? Write CSV. So there is something called as write CSV. It's a CSV file. So that is what we're putting over here. This is the name of the data table. This is the name of the Excel file. From where? From this data table. Right where? To this particular. Because this code is run over here, it's kept in the same path. Okay, so that is that. After this, click on input. Okay, so what is this? So when you hit start, okay, this is how it is moving. When you're done with number 3, you hit submit. Okay, so this is the click event. So if you look at this, it is the submit button. The same thing, you hit on submit. This opens up. Okay, this is the input. So if you look at this, edit selector. Okay, that is what it is. Input type is this. So that's the green thing. Just okay. So it is this. Once you click on this, this opens up. After that, okay. So here we are saying put the file name, which is what is shown over here, and then click on open. So this is the path of the example dot. This is what we're taking, example dot CSV. Okay, the entire path has been hard coded over here. See, look at this example dot. You can actually use assign and actually get select folder. Some of these can also be used, and but so I just hard coded. Okay, once you hit that, then you have to hit on open. Again, the click, right? Open, which is what we see over here. You hit on that, and it gets submitted. So you say open. This is what it is, and it gets submitted, right? Since we already done. So that's the last bit. Okay. So only when you kind of go through, yeah. So basically, these are the few other things. So when you're actually doing, so one of the things that you have to remember is when you're actually doing the code, right? When you hit start, you will actually have to do that toward the fag end of this, right? When you come to this, only that's only when you will get the submit, and when you click on submit is when you will get this. So you will actually have to start this when you want to. Yeah, so basically that, and yeah, so that's about it. I hope you've got to learn something new and found this project interesting. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate. Is it too much of background sound that's running? So I'll just stop here. Thank you. Cheers. Bye bye.